Hello Bitterson, it's me, Petey, and I'm in the vlog. How did I get in here? What is happening? Where is Fran? I demand Fran. Well, unfortunately, Fran is indisposed. Nothing to do with mechanical animals, taking her away to an abandoned pizzeria or anything. No, today it's just me, and I'm going to be talking about games releases because, well, it says so in the title, so I am now obliged. More specifically, the release of the Five Nights at Freddy's games by Scott Cawthon. Here is a link to the latest game which I played just a couple of days ago, after its surprise release in the middle of the night. Well, it was the middle of the day, but I played it in the middle of the night, and, well, that's going to sit with me for a while, I'll just say. But yes, the Five Nights games have always had a very strange release schedule. It's been 3 months since the previous game, and it was 3 months before that, and 2 months before that. So Scott's released quite a few games within the 1 year, and he has set the release dates himself, or not followed them at all. Can you imagine a world where games releases are like this, where one of the developers decides we should send it now, it's good enough, people want to play it, let's do this? Well, actually, that's already happening. It's not the developers, it's the publishers. There are games out there that are sure winners. They have the winning formula that we just want to play and keep getting new iterations of. For example, take a look at the Assassin's Creed series and the Call of Duty series, both of which are games which famously have annual releases. Of course, big games like that being rushed means you're going to miss out a few things. A lot of content is going to be cut or separated and released later as DLC, whether it's paid or not, which is a bit dubious, but that's not what I'm talking about today. Going back to Scott's Five Nights at Freddy games, you might remember that the latest one was pinned for October 31st, to have a spooky, scary Halloween release, although a couple of weeks ago we were given a trailer and told it will be sooner. Well, that was certainly surprising, but then again, it is Scott, and previous games have just come out of the blue. What happened was a pretty unique thing. The YouTubers who were given pre-release versions of the game could finally publish the videos they prepared, and the Twitch streamers had jumped straight on where the game suddenly rocketed up to be one of the highest viewed on the service, because Scott has a dedicated fan base who just want to play these games. A lot of big game publishers do. They have a huge community of fans of previous games in a series who are lusting for a new game. When there's any information given out, they scrutinize it lovingly. They try to look for clues as to what it's going to be like, how the changes are going to affect the gameplay, and have a guess at how it's going to continue the story that they know and love. So that's another way where Scott's release schedule has been a good thing for the game series. It has prevented his games from leaking too much information pre-release, so that when we do get the game, nobody knows anything about it. Nobody is sure what's going to happen. Nobody knows what the story is going to be like. Nobody knows what the gameplay differences are, which is very important in the series because, as we know, a lot changes between games. So let's again compare this to the big game publishers. When a new game in a series is announced, for example at E3, suddenly, without even a day's warning, the retailers have prepared mock-up boxes with speculated prices for you to pre-order when we don't even know anything about the game. They're expecting people to pay money for games they barely know anything about, which also means that they're going to have to sell bullshit and, of course, include pre-order incentives and bonuses, such as extra content for downloading or little crappy toys or special art books, things that aren't very expensive to produce. And in the case of the extra content for the game, this is that sort of stuff where I say it's cut out and added for later release, which unfortunately does happen, which means that when you buy the game on release, you're not getting an entire game, which again is a whole different debate that someone else could go into some other time. I'm sure Fran probably has on her vlogs. I haven't seen many of her vlogs. Don't tell her. The waiting time for Five Nights 4 was effectively halved when Scott released it this week, and that's a very strange thing to have done because we thought the game wasn't going to be ready until October 31st, which is another 3 months away, which you may remember, as I said, has been a full development cycle for 2 of the Five Nights games. But we've played it, we've seen the streams, it's definitely a complete experience as far as Five Nights goes. So you can only wildly imagine what's going to be in the Halloween DLC, or if it's going to be a separate game, if it's going to be free or paid, I don't know, but I'm going to get it and I'm going to play it, because Scott has proven that he can achieve the quality that we expect as fans of the series. Now let's talk Batman. Yeah, the wounds are still sore. I purchased the PC copy, and I'm still waiting to be able to play it without it crashing every 5 minutes. Every 5 minutes on new hardware. You know that little logo at the beginning that says NVIDIA, the way it's meant to be played? Huh. I doubt that. I highly doubt that. Let's get back on topic. Batman Arkham Knight was held back for release by an entire half of a year, which is quite a lot of time considering we thought the game was coming out over a year ago when you look at the release pattern for the previous 3 Arkham games. But I'm one for saying if the game's not ready yet, don't give it to them. So they held back, and I was happy with that decision. I didn't mind playing the game until the middle of 2015 because, well, I hadn't finished Arkham Origins. It was a bit turd-like and boring. But anyway, it came out after the hiatus and it was broken. So heavily broken, to the point where they pulled down the listing from the online stores. People were giving their copies back by the thousands. And if you look at the recent DLC, which has been released, A Matter of Family, the reviews haven't been specifically high. And you wonder, was this content cut from the game that they had to then postpone for a post-release release? Or is it something that they just tagged together because they had to fill a quotient of the number of playable hours for those who purchased the Season Pass, which sounds like a really despicable thing to be doing. And it's going to degrade the quality of the game overall if you're tagging on pieces of crap. And then look at Assassin's Creed Unity. It's a game which was also horrendously broken, hemorrhaging graphical artifacts left, right and centre, people popping in and out, and their faces randomly disappearing. I had a great time climbing up buildings and finding out that I could just walk freely along invisible walls, or I would fall off where otherwise it would be safe and go through the geometry and have to restart a mission. That was fun. That was, again, a release which it seemed to be too early. Maybe they should have pushed it back. But Arkham Knight was so terrible, and they did push it back. Maybe there's no hope for the big publishers. Maybe this is a sign for the indie developers to bear witness to. You don't want to get too big. You don't want to lose your creative vision, and more importantly, your fan base, which for indie developers is very important. Because no matter how the fans are achieved, whether the game was a critical success, such as Five Nights at Freddy's, or because it was just blind luck due to the virality of the game, for instance Flappy Bird, you still want to keep your fans, and there's a bit of luck in every single game that gets popular. Five Nights at Freddy wasn't Scott's first game, for instance. It was after a series of unsuccessful games, and you could argue that there was a lot of luck involved in this game about deadly animatronics being the one that really grabbed the audience of today. Or last year. There's no sure formula for a game that goes viral. Yes, there's been a lot of research into it, even published papers saying this is how a game has been made viral. This is how this game was successfully viral. This is how so many people played this game out of the blue. You can't take what we've learned from viral games and apply a strategy to a new game, especially if you're an unsuccessful indie developer, as Scott was at the time, and just expect it to work. There is no sure thing. Which takes me back to these sure things, the games which iterate every year or so, and we will just go out and buy them, and the publishers just get the money. It seems to be a waste of talent. For example, look at Scott. He's one man. One man who made 4 critically successful games, and probably very financially successful games, in less than a year. It's been less than 1 year since the August the 8th release of Five Nights 1. It's been stated that Assassin's Creed games, for example, over their 2 to 3 years creation period, involves over 900 people. Imagine 900 industry professionals creating video games or parts of a video game, releasing one game in the year, when there's one developer making 4 games in a year. Are they pooling the correct resources into these games? Maybe a studio should just ask its teams to split off into smaller groups and make the games they want to make for a short period. It works. Look at Double Fine's Amnesia fortnight, where they create games and send out the prototypes within the fortnight in smaller teams inside the studio. And we, the fans, who in recent years through the Humble Bundle, have played them, enjoyed them, given feedback, and a selection of those games have become full release titles. And I'm sure we're still to see that happening again and again, and I hope more studios get in on the practice. It's not all doom and gloom for the developers of big titles that we love to play every iteration of. Look at The Witcher 3. That was postponed, and it came out pretty much perfect, in my opinion, and the shared opinion of several other game critics. So again, oh no, this vlog hasn't achieved an aim at the end of it, but I would like to think that I've opened up a discussion for you to think about. Which, like the virality of a game, is there a set formula we can study for each release, seeing whether the early or late release was a good idea or a bad idea? Which games are particularly good examples of each case? Let me know in the comments below, and I hope you enjoyed this vlog. It's just me talking about games, which I like to do, but I don't do very often. So thanks for checking in. You can see more of these vlog videos, it's a weekly thing, as well as many other gaming videos, let's plays, reviews, features, blah 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 blah. We've got them on the channel youtube.com/thekillerbits, and you can see us on Facebook to get involved in more discussion, facebook.com/thekillerbits, and Twitter @thekillerbits, and you can fund us on Patreon, which is a great way to find out what's going on and get some stuff for yourself, some rewards. You can read all about that at the Patreon page, patreon.com/thekillerbits. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.